And another situation that's going on right now is in Paris with Lionel Messi. I mean, kind of one of the big news of the week. Paris Saint-Germain finally clapping back their superstar. Paris they pretty much have the infamous reputation of being too lenient with their superstars. Remember Neymar going to Brazil pretty much every year in the time of the Rio Carnival, and always like people were questioning his injury. Was it really injury, or was he just trying to go to Brazil at that particular time? It seems to be usually end of January and February that he always need to go to Brazil. Well, this time the big one really, Lionel Messi, the superstar of the superstar, he and Cristiano Ronaldo really. Messi got suspended by PSG for 2 weeks without pay because he went on a trip to Saudi Arabia following a domestic match league. Now, Messi later on said that he thought he had a day off and that he could go to Saudi Arabia and no problem. But the clubs is claiming that Messi did not, first of all, have the authorization to go overseas. They didn't have a day off. And if they didn't have a day off, you can't go to Saudi Arabia without your team know about it, especially since we know the rumblings we've been hearing about Al Hilal, I think that club is called, is offering big money to Lionel Messi. So now one part of the story said Messi went because he was obligated to go because he had some marketing stuff to do, marketing duty to do. Messi did say before, and his camp said that he canceled that trip already twice, and then he couldn't cancel this time, so he had to go. So now Messi saying later on that he thought he had a day off. Now, did he think he had a day off, or was it already canceled twice and I have to go regardless day off or not, and they just dipped and went? Even if you think you had a day off, I'm assuming you still have to let your bosses know, oh, I'm going to Saudi Arabia, I'll be back such and such day. Even if you're Lionel Messi, you can't just go across the continent and go to a completely different continent thinking, I got a day off, I can be in and out of France to Europe, go to the Middle East and come back. That's kind of hard to swallow as a pill. Nonetheless, Messi got suspended and we got a lot of talk about it. And then Messi later on, I think yesterday, submitted an apology video. So let's listen to the video and then come back right after.
Hola, bueno, quería hacer este video después de todo lo que está pasando. Antes que nada pedir perdón obviamente a mis compañeros, al club. Sinceramente pensé que iba a mantener libre después del partido como venía pasando durante las semanas anteriores. Tenía organizado este viaje a Arabia, el cual había cancelado anteriormente y este no pude. Y nada, vuelvo a repetir y pedir perdón por lo que hice y acá estoy a espera de lo que el club decida. Nada más, un abrazo.
So yeah, even when I see the video, it's pretty much what he posted on his Instagram, I think yesterday. I mean, that's pretty much the first time. I mean, have we ever seen Messi doing such a thing like a big, video apology? Now, what does that mean for him, man? Does he really regret? I didn't really hear any regret. He kind of explained himself, saying that, like I said before, like he thought he had a day off, so I'm sorry that I left without telling anyone I thought I had a day off. Is it really an apology? As it feels more as I'm explaining myself more than an actual apology. So we'll see what PSG does about it, but they're definitely really suspending him. I've heard reading the French news media saying that I think L'Equipe and RMC, which are one of the big French news sport news media, saying that PSG is actually working behind the scene trying to cut him off the team, like cutting his contract basically. And the reason is Messi not only has been linked to Barcelona since he even got to PSG. The day after he got to PSG, he was already linked or moved back to Barcelona, also to enter Miami. We know David Beckham has been calling on the phone with him, or at least his team, trying to get him to come to the MLS here in the US. That would be a big boost for the MLS to have the biggest star. I'm going to say there's two biggest star. Let's give respect to Cristiano Ronaldo. But for most people, Messi is viewed as the greatest player ever. But nonetheless, he's one of the two biggest star ever coming to the MLS. But that Saudi Arabia team, Al Hilal, I think it's called, they're offering, the way to offering Messi per year, 363 million euros. Now, I completely understand if you're Messi and someone is trying to offer you 363 million euros a year, why you would dip without telling your employer, trying to sneak out basically. Now, I don't condone it. I think it's wrong for Messi to do that. I think Messi is big enough superstar that he could have went to Paris, to PSG, headquarters, and even requested a leave of absence. I think they would have given it to him. would they give it to him though? Now, especially now. Now that's a little politics. Let's do a little geopolitics on the football channel. Now, let's say Messi knows he wants to go to Saudi Arabia to go negotiate this big contract that he also have marketing business with. To be honest, now he claimed he went for marketing business only, and because he thought he had a day off. But is it possible that he met with the club that want to sign him for 363 million euro a year? The problem being, did he not ask PSG for permission? Because now everybody who knows a little bit of geopolitics knows Saudi Arabia and Qatar aren't really the best of friends, and PSG is owned by a Qatar entity really, and I mean QSC is a Qatar entity, and Saudi Arabia is pretty much their rival in their region. I mean, Qatar just hosted the World Cup, and they kind of poke the bear, so to speak, blast a little bit Saudi Arabia, making fun of them, pretty much saying that we the one that kind of control the football. I mean, they have beIN Sport channel, I think is theirs, from Qatar. They pretty much invested in football globally, and Saudi Arabia is trying to catch up with them, so to speak, and that's part of the reason why Saudi Arabia got Cristiano Ronaldo to go there. He's also not just a player; he's also an ambassador because Saudi Arabia is trying to host a World Cup. I think the World Cup after the 2026 World Cup, so there'll be the 2030 World Cup. They're trying to be candidate, and they want big names ambassador. So now they see their neighbor Qatar hosting the World Cup. I think they're working toward themselves also hosting the World Cup. So having Cristiano Ronaldo and Leonel Messi, the two biggest stars in the last 15 to 17 years, is a big boost for them to be as players or as an ambassador. So basically, rewinding, did Messi not ask his Qatari's boss for permission to go to Saudi Arabia because he knew it was going to be a no-go anyways? Does that have anything to do with it? Nah, even the PSG response doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Messi went to Saudi Arabia. Like, if Messi went on his supposedly day off to Qatar for marketing plot, would he be suspended though? I don't think so, because he will still be okay. He's in Qatar. He's doing marketing for us, even if he didn't ask for permission. Now, would it be the same if Messi went, I don't know, back home in Argentina for, I don't know, anything happening with at home? Is PSG really mad about Messi leaving, going to a different country, or are they mad for Messi going to particularly Saudi Arabia to negotiate this big contract with Al Hilal, I would say? So it could be anything. It could be that, or it could just be PSG trying to come down on Messi, the harshest, so that everybody down feels like, okay, if PSG can suspend Messi for 2 weeks without pay, yeah, I better keep I better be straight, because they can suspend me for a month. If they can do this to Messi, what would Vitinha or Verratti or Marquinhos or even Neymar thinks for the future now? Because Neymar has been the one doing all this traveling back and forth to Brazil and back, and staying up all night playing, gambling and playing poker online, because he's a big poker player. Now that they do that to Messi, doesn't mean everybody else is going to fall in line, because if he can do it to Messi, they can definitely do it to us as well. So that's the big story back in France. We're going to see how it develops. Like I said, Messi is suspended for 2 weeks. He's not even allowed to train with the team, so he's literally sent home without pay for 2 weeks. And we also heard, we keep hearing in Spain that Barcelona is doing everything behind the scene to get Messi back so he can finish his career at Barcelona. They want to have a big farewell for him. They want him to come play a year or two, and then get a big farewell party for Lionel Messi, because he's the icon of Barcelona's success for the last, let's say, 15 years. But yeah, that's the story in France right now. We see how it developed. And another thing that's important to note is that Paris is not like Napoli this year. They're not guaranteed to win the league title. So them suspending Messi when they haven't been playing well and they don't have Neymar, it tells a lot. I would have thought they would have not sacrificed Messi on the pitch because they want to make a push to win the league. But it seems like Paris, they had enough. Like I say, is it because he went out on a day, thought he was off, they didn't have a day off, or is it specifically because he went to Saudi Arabia to negotiate his big deal with Saudi club? But nonetheless, we see how everything unfold. Messi issued an apology on his Instagram page yesterday, which is today morning. When I woke up, I saw the Instagram news. And then, what do you think? Who's right in the situation? Do you think PSG was right to suspend Messi for 2 weeks without pay? Do you believe Messi when he said he thought he had a day off and that's why he left on that Saudi Arabian trip? Or do you think he knew he didn't have a day off, and even if he had a day off, he had to ask for permission to go It's a whole different continent. You let me know in the comment below. And yeah.